We blame the pornography. We blame the social media. We blame all of those things.
Delayed cognitive abilities based on the amount of porn you're watching and repetitive use. What happens is afterwards, the brain takes a while to catch up
Sure.
cognitively. Hi, how's it going? Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
We're in the
Ho,
spirit when
ho,
you're red.
ho.
You and your red. Me and the
Oh,
Christmas
yeah.
tree. We're here. We're here for Christmas. I was going to
Here
put
for
some
Christmas.
headwear on.
Wow. I'm excited for you. So glad that we're going to have this conversation about PPU.
Tell me more. Oh my God, what is PPU?
PPU is problematic porn use.
Okay,
Yeah,
so there's a difference. There's problematic and non.
exactly, which is
That's
really
good to know.
interesting. So I'm just going to recap. Anita, human behavior expert, me, all things holistic and other random crap. So talking about PPU, which is what they've begun to name the issues arising from pornography. So they are like, there's one recent study that was just done, which was done with the largest group of people, which is 4,500 people, I think, which is big.
Wow.
Came up with this PPU, problematic porn use, and it's pretty intense. What they found was that obviously, that's the dopamine part of your brain. So like the mouse clicking on the cocaine constantly, it's the same thing. They found that there was also delayed cognitive abilities based on the amount of porn you're watching and repetitive use. That what happens is afterwards, the brain takes a while to catch up
Sure.
cognitively. And so your responses to things are always lackadaisy and you're not engaged. Hence, you're not engaged. Your mind's always somewhere else. The other thing they found is obviously like any drug, needing more escalation. And they definitely found this to be really a huge, intense problem when you start with youth. So what do you think? I mean, I don't have any experience with youth, so we can leave that alone. But if we want to talk about adults, or it's up to you.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I guess the people that so it's funny because I go the men that I've spoken to. It's not that women don't use it, right? But
Yeah.
the majority of my conversations, I can't actually think of any women that have a problem with porn. And I know I don't want to
No.
discount anyone because people may be watching this going, "That's me," and I would actually love to hear because I think it's actually really important that we do hear from women on this stuff as well, rather than just making it a man thing. But I guess the conversations that I've had with clients, with friends, actually a few of them, they started in their youth. They
Yeah.
started watching
Yeah.
porn
Same.
at 11 years old, at a
Yeah.
really young age. So in theory, we know about the youth, right? Because that was the
Mm-hmm.
youth of our friends back then. And it's even kind of weird hearing it because there'll be people maybe, in their 40s, or in their 30s, 40s or whatever, to think that they even had the availability to that back then. But of
Yeah.
course, magazines, we're not just talking internet, are we? We're talking,
Yeah. Magazines. I
magazines back
mean,
then.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think, this problem has been there, and I think it's more because of it's now so accessible. It's so the speed at which the damage can happen, I think, is accelerated because of the way we're receiving it,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Whereas if you're visually just flipping something and receiving it, it's still dopamine, still stimulating, but it's the way it's interacting with our neurology. I wonder if that's having an impact. What do you
yeah.
think of that?
I mean, look, I think this is always the stuff that can be hard. It's easy to say, but do we actually have the proof of was it tested back in the day? So I think this is always the thing that I come back to with this stuff. It's like, are we measuring more now to know it's a problem more than it might have been back in the day? I mean, the availability to it in theory, the
Exactly.
access to it in theory would suggest that it is, that it
Yeah.
is going to be more
And I
easily
mean,
accessible.
availability, that's it. Does availability, I mean, are we that absolutely, are we that Neanderthalic? I don't even know if that's a word, that
Sure.
if it's available, we'll have it. Is
Yeah,
that
but we
human
are.
beings? Is that
Yeah,
human,
yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah. So the way that I see this, Candice, it's like, we blame the stuff. We blame the pornography. We blame the
mm-hmm,
social media. We blame all of those things on what they're doing to us. But the fact is that they're obviously kind of needed because they weren't there back in the day. But as stuff gets put out there, it's being
mm-hmm,
used. So
yeah.
it's like it's being produced because it's known that it's playing into our Nathan. What was that word again?
Neanderthalic, the word that I just made up. Yeah, that one.
That one. But it's playing into what's already
Mm,
true about us, right? So it's not like we always go, oh, this is making us a certain way. No, we are a certain way. And so
mm,
when things get produced, we're either into them or we're not into them. And that's based on us, not based on because it actually, I think in a way, it kind of makes us seem powerless. If it's
yeah,
constantly the exterior, the external doing things to us, then where's our power?
yeah,
It's like, do we not have any at all?
yeah.
So it's going, actually, if I can see that the power is within me, then I have choice of whether I'm using it or not. And if it's something that I need to make myself feel better,
Mm,
then we acknowledge that.
mm,
But otherwise, we're constantly in blame mode, aren't we, of what that is
yeah,
doing, what they are doing to us, putting this stuff out there. We're getting hypnotized and manipulated and gaslit and all the rest of it. And
yeah.
it's like,
And I think we're not teaching children about their personal power.
yeah, for sure, for
I
sure.
know with my son,
Yeah,
because when he was growing up, I was doing NLP. We talk very openly about a lot of things, and about choosing, and about what you decide, and I always used to say to him, what you expose your eyes to, you can't ever take it back. It can never go away. It's there. So you are in charge of what your eyes see, and whatever happens after that. Just remember, and there's consequences, because it'll change you.
yeah, I love that. What a class that would be. Imagine the personal power class. Never mind maths and history.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing, and that's a conversation we kept having about everything,
Yeah,
but including, I was telling him about what you watch, what you do, everything. But
yeah.
I don't think children get that a lot,
No, well, they
you
wouldn't because
know?
we didn't get it. So what are we teaching them? We're just teaching
No,
them what we know. As
no,
we were getting
no.
it through doing
Yes.
NLP, you were able to then to pass that down, which
Yes.
is awesome.
Yes. Look, I think I did definitely get a little bit from my mum. She used to say similar things to us, like that
Right.
what you expose yourself to, you
I
can't
love
take it
that.
back.
I love
So
that.
there was a bit of that. It wasn't like as clearly defined and as clear conversations. We didn't have as many open conversations, but I feel like there was something there. But I
Very
definitely,
cool.
and even coming on, I was like, we're gonna have this conversation today. So, that it's such a big thing. But I think, yeah, when it comes to young men, I think young men and women,
Yeah.
personal power around choice and autonomy needs to be talked about, because these things aren't going away,
Yeah.
because people know there's an abyss within us that they can toy with if we don't find the right way to fulfill it.
Well, people will go after the people that they know. Yeah, exactly. That are not
Do you know what
living
I mean?
their personal power. Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
And it's rife, right? It's happening all the time, everywhere, and then we get words like gaslighting. That this word that's been
Mm.
invented in not so. It's quite a recent word. It's
Hmm.
not that stuff like that wasn't happening before, but now we need to put a label on it. So now we're using it even more. Like we talk
Yeah.
about narcissism and all these words. It's like it's
Mm.
kind of like it's necessary, but it's also taking away more and more
Yeah.
our personal power.
Yeah.
Rather than let's work on trying to realize why we're allowing someone to say things to us that we're then confusing ourselves about.
Hmm.
Rather than doing it
Hmm.
that way, what we're doing is we're perpetuating it by bringing new language into it.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
absolutely. Absolutely. And to touch on your point before about, like, well, did we measure this in the past? I don't know if you've read any of Terry Crews' books. He's phenomenal.
okay.
He writes about his porn addiction. He's actually amazing. He's an amazing writer, and just even his audiobook phenomenal. But he writes about how it started from when he was young with magazines and stuff, and the escape, the escape, because he had so much trauma in his life, and that was the only time he could go and feel good. Yeah. And this is the thing, there's so much void within us because we come here with a space that's a little bit like we're looking for ourselves, we're just longing for ourselves, and then we got all these people going, hold on, there's an empty void there, humanity's empty, let's throw shit at them, let's throw all this stuff at them.
Yeah.
The thing is, I was reflecting on this a lot today. I thought, if we realized that our soul was what where there was an absence there of us longing for ourselves, if we realized it was a spiritual longing, the things that pull us away would not really be that
But
strong.
Candice, this is it. Do they pull us away ultimately, or does the porn help to get us into our most spiritual state? And people are going to go, "Oh no, that's horrendous." But it's like when we're having an orgasm,
Oh,
or when we're,
yeah.
having,
Oh, yeah.
we are present as fuck, but we want
Absolutely.
to be able to have that sensation happening. So it's like it's
Mm,
actually all of this stuff that's really bad is, what are we trying to get back into? But we don't realize that's the part. We don't realize that it's actually the most
yes.
spiritual part that's getting. Instead, what we do is we listen to all of the outside noise, and then we start to shame and judge ourselves for the very
Yes.
thing that's helping us get back to the truest nature of us.
Exactly. And I don't know if you've read Paulo Coelho, but I think in one of his books, he one of the statements, I'm probably butchering this, but he says that God gave us orgasm, ecstasy, to experience heaven, to experience the bliss of heaven.
Exactly.
And I always
Exactly.
think about that, that what a gift it is. But we've externalized it so much. We've externalized it with so many things, and porn is a big one that we've
Yeah.
forgotten the power and the magnitude. And this is it. It is, I think it is a spiritual emptiness that causes these issues, you know?
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've solved the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
problem. Done.
But it is, it's true. It's like with any of these things, it's like sex addiction, ADHD, autism,
Mm,
whatever label. And I know this is going to, that doesn't go down too well with some people, some of these labels. But again, PPU, these are all labels of things that in theory,
yeah.
it's not to not label them. But again, it's coming back to that thing of rather than just ending it at you've got PPU or you've got a sex addiction or whatever, it's like,
Yeah.
let's use that as the starting point of exploration, like you said there about that man, of the
Hmm.
trauma that's been experienced that has led to us choosing that particular thing as our,
Yeah.
as our coping mechanism, I guess.
Yeah.
Because that's all
Yeah.
these things, any of these things are. It's like we box them into these are separate things, these are different, issues that we've got. Here's the label for
Mm,
that. But they're merely, to me, it's the chosen thing, whether it's drugs, whether it's
yeah.
smoking, whether it's food. They just happen to be the chosen vices that we've chosen in order to help us with
And
the
why
pain
do
of
you
the
think we
trauma.
want to escape so much? Because I know, yes, there's escaping trauma, but we also want to escape the mundane. I mean, I know I am guilty of having that nature which looks for dopamine. But me, I like to be constantly like, I want to go on an adventure. I want to do this. I want to go to this country. I'm very, those are my hits, And
Absolutely.
what am I escaping for? Because my
So
life
tell
is
me, what is the
beautiful.
mundane? Yeah, what do you describe as the mundane? Yeah, go on. Yeah,
You just move position. Okay, what is the mundane? I guess I'm scared of, and there is a fear there, the regular, that the mundane will just take over my life, and I'll blink and it'll be 50 years and I wouldn't have lived. I would have stayed
yeah,
safe, played safe, and and that sort of thinking can cause me to be impulsive. Because I've worked on balancing that now, I'm not, I see it. And before when I'm thinking and feeling these ways, I ask myself, well, what is it in service of? Why do I feel like I need this? And sometimes I do need it and I want it, and it'll be great to go and expand myself. But if I find that I'm running away from something, then chances are I don't need to go on that plane and run away,
yeah, yeah.
right?
But what is it that you're running away from?
Well, in the past, it's been relationships that are toxic. Um, in the past, it's also been like, well, I don't want a regular life.
Yeah.
That's sort of like the I don't want to miss out feeling. I don't have that as much anymore,
Yeah.
but I do sometimes get those glimmers of like, oh, wait, should I be doing more? And what more? My life is already as interesting as hell. Like,
So, so,
it's
so, yeah, yeah. So a lot of it sounds like it's not
yeah,
the feeling, it's your thinking.
yeah,
So it's your thinking that you're trying to get away from because you're telling yourself that life is mundane. If you were just
yeah.
watching life as it goes past with no self talk running, then there is no mundane.
Mm-hmm.
So all of the
Mm.
things that, are going on in here, they are the only things that are. And then we go, but I'm feeling like this. I'm feeling, and it's like, are we feeling it or are we thinking something first? And then we're
Mm.
feeling uncomfortable and then we're feeling like we need to
Mm-hmm.
move. You know, I was just on the
Yeah.
phone to a client who was telling me how, at night they're not sleeping great. And I said, well, what are you doing? What are you feeling in your body? And they were like, well, I'm just moving around constantly. And when you explored that, what are you moving around for? It's to try and really stop the thoughts. So if I shift position, there's a movement that
Mm.
hopefully will help me sleep. But ultimately, what I'm hoping it's going to help is to stop the self talk. So I'm moving myself to change my state. So as subtle as it is
Yeah.
in bed at night, the,
Mm.
the next point of that is us moving around, around everywhere to seeking adventure and all the rest of it because we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
get away from the uncomfortable. And earlier I referred to it as trauma, right? So the reason
Yeah.
I say that, it sounds a bit dramatic, but you said, but it's just even the mundane. But the
Yeah.
mundane that you call it will be based on the programs that you learned through the experiences that we had in childhood, whether we want to call them traumas or not traumas. It's still those
Mm-hmm.
childhood experiences that help us form the personality that wants to move more in life as they're older or wants to stay safe,
Yeah.
whatever that.
Look, there's definitely, I think, an element of safety I've wanted now. I mean,
Mhm.
I when I think about mundane, I guess I think that is wrong. I think you've just unpacked it really well. The word is wrong. I think it's my childhood allowed me to observe dreams unfulfilled, maybe, and I've named it mundane. And but it really, what I saw, what it is dreams unfulfilled, and I don't want to have unfulfilled dreams, right? So that's
So
how
what
I get.
happened? What Yeah. So what was it that happened when you were younger that made you
I don't
feel
think
that your dreams
anything.
weren't
I
fulfilled?
don't think anything like. Well, I mean, lots happened actually, but we don't have enough time for that. But if I look at
Yeah.
the potential of, like, if I look at my mum, she's extremely intelligent, really charismatic, really, she's actually quite brilliant as a person. And I think she had children and supported my dad's business, and I see how that went, and I'm just like, I saw those, she made sacrifices. I could see
Yes.
within her
Perfect
that she was a
example.
bright spark that had so much potential. Anything she does it amazing. Like, it's that, I can see that, and not wanting to make
Yes.
sure that I
Yes.
didn't have that spark taken out of me. So not the, maybe just in
No,
marriage
but
or
that's
life.
amazing. Yeah.
Mm,
That makes
yeah.
so much sense. So it's like you watched your mum, I don't know, waste her life in theory,
She didn't
and you
waste
didn't
it.
want.
She did,
No.
she was amazing. She was adapted. She raised children. She went through divorce. She is an amazing person. But I watched her
Yeah.
support someone else's dream, and I wonder, what did anybody ask her what hers were, and did she get time to explore that? And
Yeah.
she was so consumed by kids and helping my dad when they were young, and da da da, and yeah, you know, I just I see that, like,
Absolutely.
there was that's a she's a bright spark. She has so much potential. Even now, I'm like, I'm gonna start a series of interviewing her because she's interesting. But
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
why I
So
named it
for you, as you
mundane.
look at your life now,
Yeah.
yeah, I get that. And so as you look at your life now, have you done a lot more than she might have done?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely did a lot of the same mistakes she did as well. Like it, definitely, I followed right into her footsteps and some definite terrible mistakes. But I have also done some amazing things. I have also made sure that my fear of anything didn't stop me. My mum also like gets anxious flying and all these things. I hope she doesn't mind me talking about this. But I've watched her have a lot of anxiety around that stuff, and I remember thinking, I'm never going to be scared of flying. I'm never going to be scared of leaving the country. I'm going to get on all those planes because I saw how much her anxiety and fears held her back. So,
You got the
and I
confidence.
did. I
Yeah,
went everywhere, my own, and
yeah,
yeah. So, ooh,
yeah. Do,
my phone's just
do you
coming on
feel like
pause.
you've lived your potential?
I have said many times that if I was to die tomorrow, have I lived a good life, a hard life, a painful life? Yes. Have I done some amazing things? Yes.
Yeah.
And I used to say, yes, if I die tomorrow, I'd be happy. I've lived really, I've done amazing things. But I realized if I die tomorrow, I know, I don't know, I feel like there's still more I can give back. But even as I'm saying that, I'm like, I've given back to so many people. The amount of giving I've done at no charge.
Yeah, but that's it. That's part of the program, isn't it? It's never
Mm,
enough. There's always the FOMO. What am I missing out on? And it's like that's part of all of that that's been formed, right? Because it kind of makes sense from what you
mm,
say. What you watched growing up and what you tried to do differently. Let's say, to it just becoming this thing where it's never enough if it's never going to be enough. So
yeah.
it's less about what you haven't done or have done, and more about actually the program, which it's typical, right, of the type 7, let's say, on the Enneagram, the enthusiast. That's a very strong
Yeah,
enthusiast trait.
yeah. I mean, I'm a 3, but I know the 7's there.
Yeah, I know, but a lot of 7 as well, right? I know the threes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely a 7. I know it's there. Like it's in the wings. Just checking my
Yeah, yeah, it's
internet
definitely in the
connection.
wings, yeah.
1 second. Sorry. Yeah, so I have been having an internet issue. It's not you, by the way. It's an ongoing issue. Don't get me started. But
Yeah,
anyway, back to this. So
uh,
I obviously use other things as escape. When men are using
yeah.
pornography for an escape,
And women.
what, yeah, and women, I'm labeling. When men and women, I mean, but it is a male dominated thing, right? We know this. We do know this.
It's definitely a male dominated, but not to
Because
generalize it completely, because you
yeah,
might have women
according
sitting
to
there going,
studies,
yeah,
according
I
to
don't
current
know.
studies, we're not going to generalize. Yeah. But so when people are using this as an escape, how does it become so addictive? Is it the availability, like we said?
No, it's not about availability that causes the addiction. It's about the person. So again,
The
it's going back to, whatever it is that's going on for them, that they need it as much. Actually, I've just remembered now, I just had a pop up of a woman, and it's not as someone I know, but just as we're talking about that,
mm-hmm.
there was a woman who talks quite freely about the addiction she used to have. Because I just remember, like, it was, as you've asked that question, I can't remember how many times a day, but she was using it a lot. And I think she's
Wow.
overcome all of that now, and she talks quite publicly about it. But anyway, just to say, because I think it is that thing again. It's like it's just them, and
Mm-hmm.
then it's like, well, it's not. It's like, well,
Yes.
only women have eating disorders. Well, they don't.
Yeah.
Men do as well. So I think
No,
it's important to,
absolutely.
you know, to include, even though it's the majority maybe of one over the other. There's still,
Yes. Well,
there's
I
still.
mean, there was that
Anyway,
woman. She was
so
on the Diary of a CEO. She was addicted to the romance novels, and she was, she was
yes,
addicted. She could not stop.
yes,
So that's another
yes,
way,
exactly.
in its own self. But I wonder if someone is
Yeah.
addicted, I mean, we're going back, we're asking, what are you escaping from? And they're like, well, I'm friggin' escaping from life. What do you think I'm escaping from? Like,
Yeah,
how do you,
yeah,
how
yeah,
do
yeah,
you, you know, get out of that? Because life is heavy and life is hard, and I've got too much responsibility and I need to escape. And this is easier than actually,
yeah,
you know, making love to my partner. So what do you tell them? Like,
yeah.
how do they approach that?
So I would, every time with this, it's not that life is hard. Life
Mm-hmm.
isn't as hard as our mind is hard. Yeah. So we
Mm.
can often say, again, it's about the external. And I don't want to take away from the shit that does go on, in people's lives in life. But
Yeah.
if we can really see that what adds to the shitness of, the hardness of it, the beauty of it, and all the rest of it is the meaning that we make about it. So it's like
Mm.
we're not trying to escape life. We're trying to escape our meaning making about life. If we
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the self talk, if we just sat and we were able to observe situations play out and watch things happen with less judgment running, less self talk in mind, we wouldn't need the escape, because in theory, the state that we're in as we're watching and we're perceiving, as we're just there, is kind of similar to the states that we're chasing, which is to break the cycle of the thinking. So
So
often
what
what
is
we
the
find is,
meaning you're
yes,
making
people are
about life?
chasing the high.
Chasing the high.
Well, yeah.
So what is the meaning they're making about life that makes them chase the high? Because it is a high.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think the interesting thing that I often find is, yeah, as I work with people on this sort of stuff, it's like we get to the place where it's like there's kind of an understanding that the highs don't come without the lows.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
when
Every
people are
drug
going,
has a
oh, I
come
don't want a
down.
boring life and I want to keep chasing all of this. Yeah. So the more of this kind of work that most people end up doing, they end up, kind of seeing this thing of the highs no longer become that important anymore, because they always come with a low. You don't just People just want to
Mm.
have the highs, like we just want to be in that, but actually if
Mm.
we're always in that state 24/7, we would the body would not survive very long, because it's a heightened
Mm.
state. Your nervous system is completely out of whack, with all of
Yeah.
the hits, if in that sense. So it's like what most people find within this was, once they start doing this work, they do start to realize that it's more of a balanced state that we actually want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can really like
So it's like the
concur
mundane
with that.
actually becomes, yeah,
Mm. Well, funnily enough,
yeah.
during lockdown, when we had to
And,
do the same thing every day, and we were locked up for a year, my day looked the same every day, and the level of peace I had and bliss waking up every day, and yoga for a couple hours, beach. Like, I mean, I had a beautiful experience that I want to take away from anyone else's experience, because I was very lucky, but it was mundane.
yeah.
It was bloody mundane as you could get. But I was probably the fittest and most peaceful I've ever been. There was
So
nothing
what
to.
was the difference in the mundane that you talked about earlier and the mundane that you talk about during lockdown?
Um, okay. Well, I think. Oof. I think. Oh yeah, I don't know. Hold on. Let me think about that. What is the difference? I guess there was no relationship. So, maybe
Right.
I have that association that, a relationship's going to take away my dreams, clearly. And I call it mundane. And yeah, yeah, because I do get into that very blissful state on my own. Not to say there wasn't days of frustration, but it was, you know, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I
I get it.
guess in a in a in a PPU, porn addiction, they what is the defining factor? So would there be a defining factor for them? Do you know what I mean? Is or is Can it just be? I'm doing, or is there a possibility that I just got into a habit of doing this? Is that like someone says, oh, I just got into the habit? Because I have heard that before. I've just got into the habit.
Well, yeah, sure. If that's really true for them, then yeah. And then it's looking at changing a habit, right? So if that's true for that person, and like for example, for me, so if I look back to, so what was my thing? It wasn't porn. It was food. So I had an
Yeah.
eating disorder, right, based on my association with food, based on what food gave me in the moment. The same as with
Mm-hmm.
porn, the highs or whatever, or the
Yeah.
peace for
Oh, yeah,
me.
I got that one too.
The less self-talk running,
Mm.
yeah, in those moments, as we know. So within that, it's basic. What was I've forgotten the question now. What were you asking?
So
Oh
what
yeah, the
is
habit.
like
Sorry,
a
yeah, no, the
a
habit.
habit?
Yeah, okay. So then
Can
yeah.
an
So I
addiction
think
be
what had
just in a
happened was
habit,
I'd
or
done
is it
many
always
years
an
of
escape? That's the question.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So with me on that, I think by the end of having a lot of, therapy, doing a lot of work around it, I did realize that there was also a habit of things that needed to be broken because there'd been so much exploration done around what my association was with food and all the
Mm.
rest of it that it's kind of like the last parts of that whole relationship changing was then breaking the habit. It was then
Yeah.
breaking habits that were, deeply set within me. That, for example, one of my habits would be that the minute anyone left the house that I was living with, with people, the
Mm.
minute they went out, I would go straight to the fridge. It was so habitual to do that. And then as,
Wow.
I'd done quite a few years of this work. I moved in with my boyfriend, realized that food meant love, for many years. And then when I moved in with him, I was like, I found myself going to the fridge as he left the house and kind of really stopping myself and going, well, if food means love and I've got love because I'm with my boyfriend now, then why am I going straight to the fridge? And it was literally just like there going, okay.
Mm.
And the habit was then broken because the realization was brought to that. But for me, it still took, a lot
Mm.
of work before then
Mm.
that needed to be done to then be able to realize that the habit needed to be broken. So I'm not saying that that's everyone's story, but in
Yeah.
theory, if it's just a habit change that we need, then that's what,
Mm.
that's what you need. And there's no one to say that it's true or it's not true. For most people, there's probably more of an association rather than a habit that needs to be broken. But everyone's story is
Yeah.
theirs. And if people have been able to,
Mm.
change their life by just changing habits and they've not gone back to, it, then, and if it's just a habit, what's the problem with it? What's
Yeah.
wrong with having a habit that's porn? What's wrong with
I
it?
mean, well,
Other
that's the
than what
thing.
society
If you're
says is wrong
watching
with it.
porn 5 times a week, like, and you're in a relationship, isn't that habit then detrimental?
Well, who to though?
I mean, based on recent study, the habit's bad for you. Your cognitive um, responses are
Well,
diminished.
then it's probably not just a habit, Candice. That's what I'm saying. It's probably not
Mm,
just a habit if it's having that.
your
In theory,
ability to have pleasure
habits,
at a base
in
level.
themselves.
Yeah. So it's always a
Yeah,
deeper
yeah.
association,
So
really.
if we're brushing things off as a habit and it's not, then there's something to look at in that, right? If it's
Mm-hmm.
just a habit, then what's wrong with the habit in theory? If that's
Yeah.
just what your partner does and whatever, and I get the meaning around it because we've made something bad. But if we hadn't made porn a bad thing, what's the difference between someone who watches porn 5 times a week or someone that's having sex with their girlfriend or boyfriend 5 times a week,
Well,
regardless of
that's
what,
spiritual
if
connection.
there's someone, yeah, exactly. So if it's okay, other than what society says about it, someone goes, "Oh my God, that person watches is using porn 5 times a week. That's really bad." And then you see someone that's having sex 5 times a week with their partner. Oh, that's really good. It's like, well, why is one bad and one's good, other
I
than the
get
meaning
what
that
you're
we've
saying, but is there healthy meaning and unhealthy meaning? I get what you're saying. Like, don't label it good and bad, because anything that's labeled then becomes, in a way, an attractor or detractor to the brain, right? But is there healthy meaning and unhealthy meaning? Because if you're making your healthy meaning, I don't have a problem and I'm going to watch porn how many times a week and then not have intimate connection. Because what happens is, because of your desire to escape from, this is the research that I've been reading, the desire to escape causes a complete disassociation with the world around you. So there's a lack of connection
But
happening.
desire to escape is not, well, that's when it's not a habit. It's not
Yeah.
just a habit. So
So
this
it's
is the
more than a
difference.
habit.
Just a
Yeah.
habit versus there's a problem here is,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's based on the meaning that we make around it. So what is our meaning making? Not what society says, but what is our own personal meaning about it? Are we really okay with what we're doing? You know, how is this working within the relationship or whatever that is? Obviously,
Because
for
I
99%
have
of
spoken to
people,
people
it's
who've
not
said,
okay.
well, I've spoken to people that said, well, their meaning is they don't have a problem with it. They think it's okay. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, and that's not, no.
I mean, that's fine. And I guess that's not them not wanting to face that
But what
there's
is
an
it?
issue there.
What is it that, what do you think's bad with it? Yeah, what do you think's bad
I
with
don't
it?
think it's bad with it. When I look at, well, just the basic physiological um consequences of repetitive porn use and what they're seeing it does to the brain and what it does to your relationships and what it's actually doing to people on a deep level. I say there's that, if that's your thing, I wonder what the rest of your life looks like. I wonder how healthy or how fulfilling the rest of everything around you feels.
Yeah. I mean, only they can tell you that, right?
Yeah. And I guess you can
I
only
mean, it's
meet them
easy
where
for
they
us to
are.
make assumptions on people and all the rest of it. Yeah, but if that's their thing and they didn't have that, they could be a lot worse mentally off. You know, it's like saying anything. If that's their go to that's keeping them feeling okay, then at this moment in their life, then who are we to kind of say otherwise? Then you go, okay, well, come on. It's like telling someone to go cold turkey off of a heroin addiction or
Mm,
something, and that just fucking kills them, or off alcohol. It's the
mm,
same thing. It's kind of like, if that's the best of what they've got right now and that's helping them, then they could be much worse off without it, right? So again, it's I think it's this
mm.
thing as well where it's yeah, I don't know. I think there's something societally, obviously, that we've said is really bad with it, but
Mm-hmm.
really is watching porn worse than having sex? Is it really? For some people maybe, for other people maybe not.
Yeah, and I understand what you're saying. I think there's certain people in certain situations that would need that because actually they can't have contact with the world, or they're not good at, they have extenuating circumstances. There's there is, I understand, people with disabilities. There's a whole range of things that actually come under that umbrella. But I think the ramifications of us not really exploring and asking why we're also, there's like, I mean, it's readily available because we've all decided, oh, it's fine. Yeah, and sure, anything is fine. Like, you can have a shot of vodka or tequila and sure, no problem. But you have that every day, you know what I mean? That something's going to happen. Yeah, and it does, the meaning you make around it
Or
may just
something
kill
already
you.
happened for it to be needed, maybe. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
meaning you make around something can kill you. And I think,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, and obviously this is my conditioning, I feel there is, it can be detrimental, like physically, mentally. This study also showed higher cases of depression. So again, I guess it's like a drug. And I get that we don't want to make it good or bad. But I think that we have to keep having the conversations and asking people, well, why is it that you need that 5 times a week? instead of saying, well, it's not bad.
Exactly. I think that's it. I think, yeah. And I think with any of this stuff, it's like, it's an individual thing. It's like going, oh, but meditation's really good. But if someone is addicted to escaping the world in theory, well, is that good or bad? And I think this is where,
Yeah.
I know this isn't a popular view, but it's like individually, what is people's intentions and what is their own individual experience with anything, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's where, again, it comes down to this thing where it's like we put a label on something and the label becomes the label. That's the condition. That's what you've got, rather than going, okay, you have the label if you want the label, but more importantly, explore what it is that's
Yeah.
kind of going on beyond that. That's the real thing that we want to look at. So the labels are,
Just
it's very
pause
useful
for
to
1
have all of
second,
these labels
Anita.
this day and age.
Just pause for a sec because we're just reconnecting. Oh, and we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the labels. Go ahead. I should. So where were we? You'd think I was in the third world country.
The labeling.
The labeling. Okay. So what do you think we can do if we take away the labeling, the good, the bad? It's coming back to that whole thing of asking people, well, why do you need to escape?
Yeah.
Right?
Or why do you do what you do? Why do you watch porn? So it's not
Yes,
even telling
because
them that they're escaping at first. It's literally, being curious with them as to what, because otherwise we're going to make assumptions. I think this is the thing. Most people, when they're talking about things like this, people want to hear that this is bad and that we should be banning this and we should be doing, all these things to police it, but it's not happening. And there's even more of this, OnlyFans, porn, all of the rest of it. It's the sex industry is growing, so it is serving a purpose. So I think rather than, saying what we say and just, saying that there needs to be more stuff done, it's like, well, it's not happening and it's not being reduced. So why don't we now focus in more on what's happening for people? What are they getting from it? Is there stuff that they need to work on? There may be healthier ways of doing this stuff. So
and I guess
rather,
that's
again,
the
than focusing
question.
on that. Yeah.
It's growing because humanity has a void.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a
Yeah.
void. There is a void, and I know
Meditation's growing.
this.
The sex industry's growing. It's like, what's your poison to get you into to states of non-thinking? That's the way that I see it. Because it is quite polar. You see the growth of the wellness, the people say, oh, the internet's so bad, social media's so bad, but how much great stuff is there on it? So it's just seeing the polarization of the bad and the good happening, and then seeing that is any of it bad or good, or is it us just trying to get back to the true nature, as we talked about earlier, the true nature of us through whatever means it is.
Yeah.
So
And I think I heard someone say the other day that drug addicts are trying to get back to the nature when they have that shot of heroin. It's that bliss of non-thinking, non-being, non-attachment, and the
love.
void.
That's it.
It's
When I
yeah.
hear people that have tried it, it's like
Oh,
it's a
maybe it
love
was you.
state.
It is a love state.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't me taking it, but it was definitely what
No, it
what I
wasn't. I
felt.
mean, I think it was you that said it.
Yeah. But this is the thing. It's like, so let's look at something like, for example, mushrooms. They were so bad a few years ago, but now they're being used for the good. So it's like all of this stuff that we're labeling, it's like less about the thing and more about what is it giving us. And this is where, as we evolve as humans, the opinions, the things that are good and bad right now will change over time, whether we're here to see it or we're not. It could be in a few years' time, it's going, oh my God, I can't believe that was such a bad thing back then. But we're quite static in our views. So all we're looking at right now is what we hear is bad. This is bad. But it only takes one thing to change and the narrative to change for us to then go, oh my God, that's a really good thing. It's like, I look at like having a big ass was a bad thing at some point. Then Kim Kardashian came along, the Kardashians came, and then all of a sudden it was a good thing, So it's like, meaning. So if we could learn to start to see the meaning making structures and not be so tightly held on what's good and bad and start being more curious, then this is, where life, the mind becomes a lot more easy, a lot more free. But we can only know this through learning something different. Otherwise we are conditioned to be in our goods, bads.
what fills the void for you?
Lots of things, anything
Yeah.
that I'm doing throughout my day that isn't sitting there. So whether it's being on my phone, whether it's, having a cup of tea, the small things. And I
Mm-hmm.
did a water fast once, and I was, well, a few times, but a couple of times. But I remember the first one I ever did, it was literally like the thing for me was even like going, oh, there's an uncomfortable thought arising and wanting to go and get a cup of tea, and then realizing that I was on a water fast, so I wasn't going to be drinking tea. So for me, there's so many things. There's so
Yeah.
many things throughout the day,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like, if there's something arising that I'm not comfortable with, movement, I might go to the
Yeah.
toilet. Yeah. But I think the thing is, I think the most important thing that I've learned throughout this thing is to not make it bad. If I want to sit on my phone or I want to sit on my laptop for hours of the day, that's okay. And what I've
Mm.
really noticed as well for myself is, with all of this making, this stuff bad and human connection so much better, I might go out and spend hours with friends and feel exhausted.
Yeah.
Whereas I may have sat watching podcasts all day and I feel
Mm.
my nervous system is in a much better state than had I've spent the day talking, getting myself hyped up, excited or whatever, even in the
Mm-hmm.
talking. So again, it's the most important thing for me you know, is not judging whatever I'm choosing to soothe me, to bring me into more
Yeah.
present states. And that for me, it doesn't matter what it is.
Interesting.
It's yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. And I, so if someone feels like their problematic porn use, which they've labeled PPU, is actually so problematic that it's really affecting relationships and disassociating them from the world, and I've seen and talked to, and I've listened to a lot of stuff on this, the ripple effect of this situation, which is again just like a drug. What would be like the three main steps you would tell them to take? Like, what would be the three main questions, or what could they at home sit with right now and do?
Okay. So, firstly, I would say, are you judging yourself for it? Are you shaming yourself for this? Yeah. Ask yourself that. And then if you go yes, which probably, if you say no, then fine, carry on, whatever. And then I would say, if the answer is probably going to be yes, then it's like, okay, can you allow yourself to, really understand why it is that you're doing it and what it brings you? Yeah, what's the ultimate that you're wanting from this experience, or that you're getting from this experience that keeps you going back? And then thirdly, this is the hard part, but it's bringing compassion to yourself, probably to the child of you that experienced whatever you experienced, formed whatever programs you formed in mind, whether it's judgment, worst case thinking, best case thinking, severe optimism that keeps you wanting to be excited for the rest of your life forever. Whatever those programs are, it's like, can you bring compassion to yourself, to the child that was suffering, that now in later life is maybe using porn to kind of distract away from
Mm,
the programs that were actually formed back then. They're not about the mundane now.
interesting. And so if someone wants to, they sit with those questions and they say, well, I still have the urge, and what can like, I've answered the questions in my head and I see the stuff, but I'm still doing the same thing. How do I like
You're
physically
not going
shift
to
that?
change it as a habit. I wouldn't expect someone just to stop there and then. I always find it quite funny when people think that they're just going to change it because they've brought some awareness to it, straight that. Or when someone tells you something, you're suddenly going to change years of habit. I mean, what would I say is get some professional help. I'm here. If you want to have a
Mm,
chat with me, absolutely. Always happy
yeah.
to do something. But yeah, get some help. You're not going to change it now. But
Yeah.
keeping judging ourselves for it is the problem. So this is it with any of these things. It's like, it's not the addiction that's the problem, it's the judgment, the shaming
Mm-hmm.
of ourselves. Work on that part, and if you can't do it on
Mm-hmm.
your own, which you probably struggle with a bit more, get
Yeah.
some professional help with it. So we're not working on just stopping something. Like
So
keep doing
it's
it.
impossible
And
for
what the
anyone to just
judgment of
stop
it.
it overnight.
I mean, it's possible, yeah, like with anything. But the
Okay.
majority of people, you know, it's probably a bigger thing. For some people,
Mm.
yeah, sure, they can go, oh, I've just stopped this. But how many people do we really hear go, oh, I just stopped smoking like that? Or I just,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
my binge eating just went away, or my anorexia or my bulimia just stopped
Mm.
like that.
Mm.
Few people, but the
Mm.
majority,
Yeah.
it takes more work.
And I find that people that have something they're hiding are very good at, they're just very good at hiding from themselves, from people
Sure.
they love, and they'll keep hiding, and it always comes undone. Um, you know, but and that's the thing, like when the shame keeps you hiding. I think a lot of people
Yeah.
keep hiding and keep lying, and then their shame builds, and then it's just it feels like a mountain in the end, you know.
Yeah. There's where
Mm.
compassion for other people, maybe if we find ourselves getting wound up by others, you know, and stuff,
Mm.
it's like having
Yeah.
compassion to ourselves where maybe we've got some vices that we're, you know, not liking theirs because
Mm.
we've got our own. You know, I hear this a lot. It's like, what about, you know, the people that hide it, or, you know, whatever it is that it's like, well, that's what they're doing right now, and that's if
Mm.
that's what they need for themselves, then, you know,
Yeah.
others judging them or them judging themselves more isn't
Yeah.
the answer to it. You know, if that's what
Yeah.
if that's their place of comfort is to hide, then that's not
Mm.
serving them right.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Any last words?
I don't. Do you?
Any last words for the PPU people? Sorry, I
Exactly.
just think that's the stupidest name. This is a full study. They've come up with this
It's
problematic
amazing.
term for use. I just think it's hilarious. Um, you know, I have had a lot of vices, and I've had a lot of things I've had to work through, and I've tried to fill the void within myself many ways. And I know for myself that what I'm always longing for is me, is the highest version of me, is the spiritual version of me, is that God particle within me. That's what I'm always longing for. And it always fills that space. And that's how I am able to grow and not make the same mistakes. Sometimes I make them over and over, but yeah, that would be my, like, what you're longing for is you. That's my number one thing.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. And it's the realization of that. Yeah. Once we can realize that, then. But
Yeah.
everyone is going at their own pace in this, right? And
Yeah.
the more compassion we can have for, you know, our partner that may be doing, you know, whatever they're doing, you know, if they're doing that, then, you know, it's just
Yeah.
hard. But we, you know,
Yeah.
for people to have that in their lives is
Yes.
usually they've got
Absolutely.
done enough work on themselves to be able to
Yeah. And
understand that and be
compassion for if
okay
you
with
can't.
what might be happening.
Like, if you can't
Yeah,
stay in that situation, compassion for that. That you don't have to be
totally.
there to support people, walk them through their journey, because it's their journey.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. That's it. And the freest thing we can do is, you know, if that's the unhealth of it, is not make it personal, right? It's not about me that they're, because that's a lot of it when we're annoyed with them or angry or we're hurt because we think that they're choosing something over us as if it's about us. And it's never about us more than it's about, you know, the person who is suffering, as two people
Yeah.
suffer. So yeah.
Thank you,
Cool. Great
Anita.
topic. I
Oh my God, there's
love
so
that.
much to this. So much, but we'll unpack more.
Yes, yes,
Bye.
yes. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.